Hello everyone, this is our fourth lesson. We're going to be animating a walk cycle. So, since I'm doing a walkthrough, I will be commentating while I'm recording. I apologize if my mic quality isn't great, since I have to animate on my phone. So this is a very important lesson to build up that patience when animating, because walk cycles are tedious. Even for myself, it is tedious. But it's not that complicated as you think. It shouldn't be scary as you think. So let's put a floor down. First of all, push the stick figure so it is in front of the floor. Put the stick figure on the side, left side here. Put the stick figure in a walking position. And you could leave the FPS on 10 through 14 is acceptable. And let's turn on tweening. And be careful of your spacing between your feet. You don't want them huge or very close together. You want them just about there. So there's only two main poses you need to know. First is the contact pose, which is the pose that the stick figure is in right now, where the foot contacts the ground. So let's add another frame and make the stick figure move a step forward. And make sure to switch the legs and arms, especially when using tweening. Switch these. There we go. You have two contact poses. Now let's select the first frame and add a frame between those frames. Now we're going to move on to the second important pose, which is called the passing pose. Let's put the stick figure between these two onion skins. And this is where the other foot directly passes the other foot, the first foot. So pay attention where the foot lands. Be sure the bottom of the foot aligns with the onion skin. And you must observe the arm position as well. The arms also pass to each other like the legs, however in a different motion. The humerus moves like a pendulum or an arc, and this goes to the forearms too, but they are in a greater range of motion. The forearms don't bend backward though, like that. This is our passing pose. When animating a walking cycle, there will be little to no movement when animating the torso or the head. So keep in mind that when you select a limb, make sure you don't accidentally animate the wrong one, especially when tweening is on. When animating across the screen, there's mostly going to be linear movement. Spaces between the onion skins are going to stay at the same distance. However, the arms are going to use slight easing, like a pendulum. The arms will slow its movement at the edge of the arc and speed up in the middle of the arc. We are almost done with the first step. We see it looks abnormal at our FPS right now, but if we scale it down to 1 FPS, see it looks way more realistic. That's a great thing about tweening. So let's bump the FPS back to normal. Now we want to recreate what we saw earlier. To achieve this, we need to manually animate in between frames between the contact and the passing pose. Either place 1 or 2 in between frames between the contact and passing pose. Then do the same between the passing and contact pose. Now pay attention to the footing and the leg movement, as well as the arm movement. Now let's do the same between the passing and contact pose. Remember, we need linear spacing between the onion skins. Pay attention to every limb of this stickman. Make sure the stickman is at the same height as well when animating a walking pose, relatively at the same height. Now, that is basically it. We have our first step. Now we can repeat all the steps we did to make this figure walk across the screen. But to make this figure look like it's walking continuously, we'll just need this one step it's doing. In every frame, select the stick figure and press center stick figure. And there we have it, our walking cycle. Now if your step looks twitchy and rough at the end of the step, to fix that we can go to the first and last frame and try to make it slightly look identical to each other. Not completely, but slightly. You'll need some context of the frames in the middle to determine where the limbs should be placed in the first and last frames. There we go. That looks way smoother. Alright, your action step is to animate a walk cycle. And you can challenge yourself by making the stick figure walk across the screen. Now let's see what we've learned. We know the most educated way to animate a walk and looping that walk. We know the most important walking poses and maintaining patience and persistence, which are the most important factors every time you animate, especially for walking.